Well, Coach, great to see you this morning.
Good to be here. Breakfast was great. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, 4 years of incredible success in Baltimore. In fact, you're the only coach in NFL history to take a team with a losing record and then go to 4 straight playoff appearances. Talk about the 4 years.
Well, it's been a great 4 years. We've been that close. You know, you think about all the good things, and then you think about how close sometimes you get, and then you don't quite get there and try to figure out why these things happen. But it's been special because of the guys. You know, that's the thing about coaching. Whether you coach maybe in high school or college or the pros or whatever, the relationships with the coaches and the players and the chance to spend time together and get to know these great people, good family men. You know, the Ray Lewises and the Ed Reeds and the Joe Flaccos. They're just good young people. You know, and maybe not so young sometimes, but it's just great to be around people like that.
Yeah, great. Take us back to Thanksgiving night. First time in NFL history. Yeah. 2 brothers as head coaches are competing against each other. You're looking across the field at the 49ers and your brother, Jim Harbaugh. Take us to that moment.
Well, yeah, it's just kind of the game. You look over for a minute, you kind of gulp because we've had these battles and these fights all these years, you know, wrestling around the family room floor and, you know, one-on-one basketball games and things like that. And you look over there and you see across the field, and it's like 53 yards. So it's a long way, but it's really not very far at all. And there's your bro, you know, and it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. But it was a good night for me. We won, you know, so it was an okay night. I'll tell you, Mark, the neatest thing about it was, well, the crazy part about it was just the media attention was, you know, we fought a lot over the years. It wasn't that big. We weren't even going to be squaring off, you know, and then you walk out into the field and there's 150 cameramen and, you know, flashing, light bulbs flashing. It's like, really, is it that big a deal? You know, but then at the end, when it's all said and done, and you walk across the field, and we said, you know, I love you, I'm proud of you. And then down in the stadium after the game with our family, and going to see him on the team bus, and it was like 2 in the morning, and they got to fly 5 hours back across country, and he's in that front seat there in the first bus, pulling out. You know, my heart rode out there with him for a minute, you know, because that is your little bro, and it was a tough game for him. It didn't last long. The elation came back real quickly, but it was there for a moment.
That's great. Well, speaking of family, you come from a family of coaches. Your dad, Jack, longtime college head coach, assistant coach. Jim, as we've talked about. Your brother-in-law, Tom Crean,
right,
is the current head basketball coach at
Go
IU.
Hoosiers, huh?
Yeah.
All you Purdue fans out there, we got a big game tonight.
So my question to you, in Family Matters, who asks who advice?
You know, I'll tell you, there's not a lot of advice. We kind of do share a lot of ideas. The funny thing is when you win or when one of the guys wins, it's amazing how quick you get a call. Like the next day, Tom will win a basketball game and I'll hear from him. There's a text message from Tom. He doesn't win or Jim loses, you don't talk to each other for days or even weeks, you know. I don't know why it's that way.
Talk about your dad for a moment. Your dad, 40-some years as a coach. You grew up in a family of coaches.
Yeah.
What do you see now in your life and in your coaching that reminds you that this was your dad's influence?
Well, there's really not too much that it wasn't his influence, really, especially when, like, you know, the officials make a bad call and the anger starts to well up inside and you want to go strangle somebody. You know, that's from my dad, so we got that from him, you know. That's not such a bad thing. Really the enthusiasm, you know. Our dad talked all the time when we were growing up, you know, things that, you know, some things have been published about, you know, approach each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. You know, statements like that, or who's got it better than us? Allison out there, my daughter here, could say it right now. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Did you hear that? Nobody. So that's right. That comes from our dad. So, you know, those are the things. We used to think about it. Jim and I would look at each other. Enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I mean, that's kind of over the top, isn't it? And that's really, it's okay. It's okay to think like that.
Well, 2 weeks ago, you were 1 second away from coaching tomorrow.
Thanks for that reminder, Mark. Try to, you know, they talk about psychology. We're trying to push that down deep inside and never revisit that moment again.
But you talk about the game, and then I have another question I want to ask you.
Well, it was a great game. You know, if it was one of the best football games I've ever been a part of. People tell me it's one of the best games they've ever watched. And then they saw the one right after that the Niners played. That was one of the great games. You know, we were kind of on a track there. Jim and I had joked when he got the job, wouldn't it be something if we played in the Super Bowl your first year, you know? ha, that could never happen. And then we're going into that game, and this has a chance to happen. As a matter of fact, there's a real good chance it's going to happen. And then as our game was going along, and it's not like you think that way, it's really a football game. I mean, there's give and take, the chess match is going on, you're with your players, the emotions are up and down and all around. It goes like that, decisions are being made. Then the next thing you know, a play is called, and I remember saying to Cam, the play is actually called Raider, and it's basically a slant and go. And we thought we were going to get zero coverage. We ended up getting cover 2. And against cover 2, normally Joe will look at the slant and go. The corner will be off high, and he'll come back to Anquan on the seam route. And so I'm thinking it's going to go to Anquan on the seam. But the corner just jumped the slant, and Lee came wide open. And I remember when Cam called, I thought, Raider, gutsy call, Cam, gutsy call. And there it was. It was open, and Joe threw a good strike. And really, probably in years past, Lee made a catch. But now with the different kind of rules, it was not a catch. And then you're just stunned for a minute. Then you move on to the next play. And we took a shot there. Dennis Pitta kind of got mugged on the 5-yard line. Not saying anything. It's okay. And then you miss a field goal. Just like that. And the emotions are pretty crazy at that moment. But that's football, and who can explain why things happen the way they do?
Yeah, so that obviously you're 1 second away from a dream. It slips away. Take us inside your life, in your heart. What's going on in that moment, into the locker room? Talk to us about that.
Well, it's hard to describe, and you don't know what to expect, and the moment was just unexpected, completely unexpected. So I'm not sure if it was just actual shock, but really what I felt was an unbelievable peace. And that was kind of completely unexpected. Right when that thing happened, when Lee dropped the pass, and then Billy missed the kick, I just felt something that was just an incredible peace, and what I would refer to is a peace that's really unknown to mankind. It's beyond understanding, and that's a peace that we've prayed for, as a group, as a team, as a coaching staff, really through the playoffs and throughout the season, and it just was there, and it wasn't something that you had to work for, you had to think about. I just felt okay. I just felt like, our team had done something here. We had a lot of ups and downs. We'd fought through a lot of things. Our guys were in a good place with one another. They felt good about one another. They laid it all out there. We told our team, you know what? You laid your hearts on the field. Your hearts are still out there. They're going to be out there. They're never going to. But we'll pick them up. We'll put them back inside. A piece of us is still on that field. But it's okay, and we'll move on from this. And it was a moment. It was a hard moment. But it's going to end up being a good moment. And it's going to be made into a good moment. And then Ray Lewis gets up in the locker room after the game, and he tells the team, he says, God doesn't make any mistakes. That's Ray Lewis. And Ray's a strong Christian. I don't know how many people are aware of that. He's a strong Christian. And God doesn't make any mistakes. Good will come of this, whatever it is. It's okay. And nobody wanted the opportunity to play in this game more than Ray and more than Ed and some of our veteran guys. And yet for those guys to be able to walk away from that moment saying it's going to be all right, as much as they had, as much as it meant to them, it's going to be okay, we'll move on, and we're okay with one another. I was most proud of that moment.
Yeah, great. Hey, one last thing. There's a gentleman sitting down here on the table that you just hired. What does Jim Caldwell bring to your staff and bring to the Ravens?
Well, we're going to find out. Right, Jim? I'm so proud and so excited to have Coach. Thanks, Jim. Please, that's good. Thank you. Yeah. What Jim Caldwell has accomplished, throughout his coaching career, and then most especially and most recently here in Indianapolis, is just unparalleled. And it's unparalleled from a success standpoint. Obviously, Super Bowl, an incredible number of games won. How about also in a tough situation that they faced this year with the injuries, and it wasn't just one injury, it was injury after injury after injury, and to hold that team together, the way they played hard. They came to our place late in the season, Jim, you brought your team in there, and they played their hearts out. It was a hard-fought game. They did that every single week all year. I think that's a testament to leadership. That's a testament to where the head coach's heart was at with that football team. And then throughout the course of his career, you talk to these players that have played with Jim and the relationships that he's built and what he's meant to them over the years. We had kind of met briefly at one of the couple times at the coaches' things and gotten to know each other a little bit, but the respect that I'd had personally for Coach Caldwell, and then knowing his story a little bit, and then having a chance over the course of the last week to really get to know him, you know, God works in mysterious ways. And for him to now be a part of what we're doing, to be close to Joe Flacco, the rest of our offense, to have an impact on our coaching staff, Cam and all the other coaches, you know, I just can't wait to get going. When are we getting started? We getting started this afternoon? As soon as possible, right? But we'll go to work soon enough, so it's just a great thing.
John, thanks for joining us this morning. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah.